Hello, everyone. It is Redmen TV. It is live. What a mad day. Where to begin? Jordan Henderson news, of course, absolutely dominating the airwaves all morning, actually all day yesterday as well. But things really seem to be heating up every time we open Twitter. In the last sort of 3 or 4 hours, there's been something new to discuss. So if things break while I'm doing this, I'll try my best to keep abreast of everything. But yeah, we're going to be discussing Fabinho. Apparently there's a bid incoming of £40 million from Saudi. Al-Ettifaq, I believe. I'll just double check that in a second. But yeah, we'll come to that. But the Jordan Henderson stuff is going to dominate everything we do here. But we're going to start with the groundbreaking, earth-shaking news of the day. Darwin Nunez is going to wear the number 9 shirt for Liverpool. What is Liverpool's social team doing? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Oh my God. I mean, fine. Ugh, Darwin can take the number 9 shirt, whatever. We've been discussing this for a few weeks about what would happen to all those vacant shirts. It's a good show of confidence in the lad that, you know, he's the main man. He's important to Liverpool. But not today, Liverpool. Not today, Liverpool social manager. Come on. What are you? Unless you know how like you try to bury bad news under like even worse news. It's basically how the Conservative government have stayed in power for the last few years. Wait till something big is, cause a distraction. Maybe they were concerned that people would be absolutely riled up that Darwin's getting the 9 shirt. So what they've done is they've just waited for loads of Saudi bids to come in for our players and then just kind of try to sneak that in under there. No, fine, whatever. Cool. If he becomes worthy of the number 9 shirt, sound. He's still probably better than a number of people to wear that shirt. He's probably scored more goals for Liverpool than several of the lads who've worn it in the past as well. So fine. I hope he goes on to join the pantheon of great number 9s. Right, let's move on. If you've got an opinion on anything I discussed, by the way, you've got the live show chat. I'll highlight. I'll highlight some great comments. For example, this one from Michael Leamy just says, "Well, he looks sharp though." Cool. No one really wants to talk about this, do they? We want to talk about Jordan Henderson. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read through some of the news stories on it. I'm going to refrain from throwing too much opinion into this, but I am, by all means, please do throw yours into the mix. We'll start then with the Athletic. And this was the lead story on today's show when I wrote this agenda at 9 a.m. this morning. David Ornstein reporting that Liverpool's Jordan Henderson leaning towards accepting offer from Al-Ettifaq in the Saudi Pro League. For people mocking Steven Gerrard's video, at least we know how to pronounce the football team now. Liverpool captain Jordan Henderson leaning towards accepting an offer. Henderson expects to make a decision imminently, with the England international considering the life-changing offer which would quadruple his Liverpool salary. Steven Gerrard, Henderson's former teammate, was appointed last week as Al-Ettifaq's new manager and has played a key role in driving the pursuit of the 33-year-old. Henderson still has 2 years left on the 4-year contract he signed in the summer of 2021, meaning a fee would need to be agreed between Liverpool and the club if midfielder agrees to join the Saudi side. Liverpool, and this is obviously from like late last night, early this morning. And again, just to clarify, this is written by David Ornstein. Liverpool have not had any contact from clubs regarding a move for Henderson. If he gives his approval to the move, the clubs will immediately hold talks over the deal. So that looks like we're starting to see progress in that. So there was no forthcoming bid that's triggered this, but clearly conversations going on in the background, whether it's through agents or direct from, let's say, Gerrard's to Jordan Henderson, feeling out whether it's a worthwhile conversation to be had. Now, it looks like, from Jordan Henderson's side, like this hasn't been shot down immediately. So we've seen the story kind of roll on a little bit in the last couple of hours. The Liverpool Echo, which when their absolute car crash of a website loads up, I'll be able to get you the exact quote. But they're basically reiterating the stance that as of this morning, Liverpool actually hadn't received any offers from any of the Saudi football sides for that, whatever, in the bin, Liverpool Echo website. Fabrizio Romano, of course, has weighed in on all of this. This was at 8 a.m. this morning. Al-Ettifaq pushing to sign Jordan Henderson. Steven Gerrard wants Henderson, and contract proposal is now huge. Still waiting for final communication from players' side. Deal described as in progress by sources close to the negotiation. Hendo will speak to Klopp today. So that was that. And then as an update at 11:15 this morning from Fab Romano, Jordan Henderson update. Liverpool have asked for 10 million fee to Al-Ettifaq with main part up front. Negotiations continue, waiting for the player final decision. Al-Ettifaq plan was to get Henderson on a free, but Liverpool insist on 10 million fee. Before we dive in any more on that, what do we think on that, on the fee for the start? What do we think on a club that's got enough money to pay effectively £700,000 a week, wanting to try and get a player with 2 years on his contract on a free transfer? Get some of your thoughts on that. We have had a new member. Let me just find my pen. Who's going to join us on our splendid, no expense spared YouTube members board. That is, thank you so much for this, Adam. Adam Eels? Go ahead. Oh, yes. Love it. Adam, you have joined our fabulous YouTube members board. Thank you so much for that. Keep your thoughts coming in on all of this. We've got a super chat to get through and a bunch of comments, so I'll put some of the best ones in here momentarily. Actually, David Brett Smith, I have seen your super chat. It relates to the Fabinho stuff, so I will come back to that momentarily. All right, we've got, people flying in with comments. Jack here says 10 million for Hendo is nowhere near enough and not even really worth losing a captain for. Due to his age, I take 20 million or onwards. I mean, this is the problem, is that I think when we'll have this conversation around Fabinho stuff in a bit, but this isn't like they've come with a 10 million bid. By all accounts, and I'm only taking this off Fabrizio Romano, Liverpool are the ones who set the 10 million fee. Now, there's been some rumours of a 10 million contract clause. I don't know at this stage. I don't know how true that is, so I won't go too heavy on that. But I've seen rumours, I've seen word that there's a 10 million clause in his contract. But again, please don't take that as gospel from me. Let's see. Jacob Woodell. Now, what is this? Is this an attempt from comedy from Jacob, or just a misspelling issue? It says the absolute, because it changes the tone. I'll read it both ways. The absolute nerve of them. We should be asking for £30 at least. That's if he's meant to write £30. If he's meant to write 30 million. The absolute nerve of them. We should be asking for 30 million at least. I think I've nailed that. Are you happy with that, Jacob? I think I've tried my best to give you fair representation there. He's a good one, actually. I think Cyrex not getting a fee for Henderson would set a terrible precedent. Well, look, Liverpool have set precedent of letting their experienced midfielders and players leave on a free, but not ones who still got contract time left, because that's the point of having a contract, is that you protect the value of the player to you. Now, I actually just want to double check this. I've been looking into a lot of this stuff over the last couple of days, and not the transfer market is a great representation or a perfect representation, but I feel like Jordan Henderson's transfer market profile, I feel he's like 11 million. Yeah, 10. They've got him as 10 million euros on transfer market. Again, 33 years old. But only just 33. Not that hugely matters. 33. Current England international is one of the things that I'm going to move on to. Dom King's done a good opinion piece on this, which I'll read next. But Transfermarkt, I've got that as a rough valuation. 10 million doesn't seem wildly short a valuation on Henderson for me. But anyway, Dom King, who writes for the Daily Mail sports department, really, really good guy, good writer. Their website is almost as bad as the Echo's, just to be clear on this. Opinion piece from him. If Jordan Henderson goes to Saudi for 700k a week, it's a game changer for a league nowhere near European elite standards. To take Liverpool's captain would be remarkable. This would be the deal that changes everything. This would be the transfer that sends shockwaves through every Premier League club and tells them nobody is unattainable. Jordan Henderson is Liverpool's captain and England's second in command. He's 33, he's still an outstanding amazing physical shape. Take a look at the videos he posted on his social media channels this summer, and his ability to influence games is beyond question. After the last competitive fixture he played for England against Macedonia at Old Trafford on June 19th, Gareth Southgate made a point of name-checking the influence Henderson had on setting the tempo for England to win 7-0 and take another step towards Euro 2024. Here is Henderson's level. He's international class, crucial to setting standards in dressing rooms, and has plenty of gas in the tank to compete in the Premier League. He's not shuffling around at the end of his career, getting 5 minutes here and there, fighting against the dying of the light. But Al-Ettifaq, he believed they can take him from Anfield. They're prepared to offer the kind of sums on a weekly basis that would end up, over the course of a long-term contract, looking at the numbers on an international phone number with digits going on and on. Love the little picture there of Jordan Henderson looking distinctly ripped. It is understood they're willing to potentially quadruple terms that are currently in the region of £190,000 per week. No matter how well financially rewarded someone has been throughout their career, these kind of terms would turn anyone's head and make them think long and hard. There's no guarantee that Henderson will leave Liverpool. His heart is at the club. He squeezed every ounce of himself to chisel a place in Anfield folklore and hold the distinction of being the only man to lead them out in 3 European Cup finals. Goes on to say about the change of football, changing of situation, and what makes this situation so remarkable. There's potentially could be a transfer which is to happen that redefines the landscape for a league that is not anywhere near the standards of Europe's top divisions. To take the active captain of Liverpool would be remarkable. Henderson is not Ronaldo, sulking and preening and desperate for one last hurrah, trying to show that his powers have not waned. He's not Kalidou Koulibaly, whose form is nowhere near the level that made him such an imposing performer for Napoli and Senegal. He's not even his old Liverpool teammate Roberto Firmino is out of contract. Certainly at this stage, he would be expected to start the season opener against Chelsea. Quite what it mean for an England career that spanned 11 years, 6 tournaments, 7 caps unclear, given the relationship he enjoys with Southgate. A man he respects greatly. It's unfeasible to think the pair will not talk about the implications. So there you go. Yeah, Dom King weighing in heavily on the Jordan Henderson situation. It's a mad one, that, because I just to get a little bit of thought on. I'll probably do a longer video on this off my own back later today or tomorrow. Once I've had a chance to kind of square it all away in my head, but I don't think there's any issue with moving on a 33-year-old footballer from the football club. I don't think there's any issue with selling players when they've had their best years already. Liverpool should be doing more of that. But I am a little concerned for the future of the squad if you let too many experienced people go. And that only comes from experience. I mean, I've seen Liverpool in a very short space of time after they won the treble and then got into the Champions League in 2001, 2002. A lot of experienced players left the club in a very short space of time. However, under FSG in the early days, they were ruthless over getting rid of lads who were on wages that didn't justify their place within the squad. And at 33, with a side that's evolving beyond what he can do in his favoured positions, players like Jordan Henderson and Thiago Alcantara and like Joel Matip, for example, as well, all the wrong side of 30, all not perfect fits anymore, but all on senior first team, first choice wages. Liverpool's ownership group have shown ruthlessness in the past to the point where everyone used to think that they were asset strippers and had no positive future for the club. But it would potentially take Liverpool back a step further than I think they were hoping to do, or Jurgen Klopp will be hoping to do this summer. Right, let's get through some of the super chats, and there's loads. Thank you so much, everyone who's gotten involved. Let me see. Let's start with Scott Hawkes, who says, extracting the urine if they want Hendo on a free, seeing he could pay 10 million himself with 3 months' wages. 10 million at least seems the correct pain in the backside tax to replace him. Yeah, I agree on that. I think it's just about enough money. It's about market valuation. That's a little bit of my concern with the Fabinho stuff too, by the way. But I'll come to that in a second. Let me just get this one as well. Jonathan Newman says, selling Henderson and Fab is a bad move. 5 centre mids out, captain and vice captain gone, a little time to bed in a whole new midfield. I'm worried. Yeah, absolutely. Robbie Brown sends a super chat, and I've still got David Brett Smith. I'll come back to you in a moment. If you've got more thoughts on the Fabinho Henderson stuff, do comment. I'm just going to read the one more thing, actually, which is a consideration on the Henderson stuff. I just want to give it the fair air that I think it deserves. Cop Out, who obviously work within the football club to make sure that LGBTQ plus rights or whatever are well adhered to within the structure of the football club and beyond. Jim Paulaman, friend of the show, has obviously been a big advocate and speaking on behalf of these things. He sat down with Jurgen Klopp last season about the rent boys thing and all that kind of stuff. He's been a brilliant voice for it all. But Cop Out as an organisation have tweeted, Cop Out have valued the allyship shown by Jordan Henderson. We are appalled and concerned that anyone might consider working for a sports washing operation for a regime where women and LGBT plus people are oppressed and that regularly tops the world death sentence table. Gerrard's participation in the sports washing is particularly galling given his previous support for LA Galaxy teammate Robbie Rogers. When someone's made a fortune, should money tempt them to go to work? Maybe they should be asking themselves those questions. We hope that Jordan Henderson proves to be a man of his word and stays true to the values of our club, which so far he has been an absolute embodiment of. And look, what that does is kind of tells you the complication of the situation around Jordan Henderson beyond just the pure sporting one, beyond just the football one, beyond questions of the money and the wealth that you're going to earn and setting up your family and all those kind of stuff. And this is the world where if you set yourself up as a moral, for a moral arbiter for things, and look, there are things that people need to do, there's the things where strong stances need to be taken on stuff. The issue Henderson's got is that there's plenty of footballers who are going to move to Saudi, but very few of them have been so public in the support of, people who are not supported by the nation that he would be potentially going to play for. So that speaks to the quandary that he will be going through right now. I'm absolutely certain of it. But it's interesting, of course, and again, because of the whataboutery of the internet, that I'm not sure Fabinho will be held up to the same standards, although, in reality, should we be holding everyone up to the same standards? It's not for me to say, but just to give you an update on the Fabinho stuff then. From The Athletic again, David Ornstein, just 2 hours ago, Liverpool set to receive 40 million Fabinho transfer offer from Saudi Arabian side Al-Ettifaq. Sorry, I got that one wrong. I thought it was Etihad. My bad. Al-Ettifaq are set to approach Liverpool with a concrete offer to buy Fabinho. The Saudi Pro League's club's bid for the Brazilian international 29 is expected to be worth 40 million, and it's anticipated a decision will move quickly one way or the other. Liverpool's main opposition to any move would be letting the starting number 6 leave without a replacement. However, the club are working if Fabinho should leave with Southampton's Romeo Lavia among a number of options under consideration. Fabinho has 3 years remaining on his current contract until 2026. Liverpool's midfield undergoing a considerable refresh, blah, 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 blah. It remains unclear if Liverpool will sanction departures of Fabinho or Henderson. Fabinho was once again a key player for Klopp last season, making 49 appearances in all competitions. And look, as I've mentioned on previous shows, no Liverpool midfielder played more minutes than Fabinho last season. And it was his worst season as a Liverpool player in a very top sense for this. This is what I mean. I think it's less complicated with Fabinho for me personally, and only from a pure football perspective, because I think he's a really good footballer, and he's been... Prior to last season, I think he was the best DM on the planet, or certainly in that thin slice of them, alongside the usual names, Rodri being the most obvious one. The big concern was last season the big warning sign that's his level, his bare minimum level, and he's going to continue to tail off from there. And if that's the case, then Liverpool should be looking to move him on as quickly as possible. But I don't know what the planning is. I've speculated. I did a video on my personal YouTube channel this week about what Liverpool's essentials are for the rest of the transfer window based on what we've seen happen so far. Someone like Lavia feels like a supportive transfer. That doesn't feel like a day one replacement. So Szoboszlai feels like a day one upgrade on Jordan Henderson. McAllister's a day one upgrade on Thiago, potentially, and Jones. But Lavia doesn't feel like that for Fabinho. Fabinho's still 29. He's still in the prime of his career. He still has good years ahead of him, theoretically. Lavia feels like someone who you'd spend a year getting games, but blooding in to be his long-term replacement, not the immediate one. The big question is on the back of this is that does this upset what Liverpool are trying to do? Is this unexpected? Would they be stupid enough to leave themselves in a situation where they sell Fabinho and Jordan Henderson and then need to go and replace them? Which for me would be absolute madness, because as much as someone like Stefan Bajcetic has got a very bright future in the game. I believe he's 18 years old and he's only just coming back from a serious injury. We've been here before and we've gone, it's okay, let him go because we've got this kid. The best example I can think of off the top of my head was Jordan Ibe. Don't worry about Sterling. Let the snake leave. We've got Jordan Ibe. He's amazing, and he wasn't. He was a sound footballer, but he was nowhere near on Raheem Sterling's level, and we couldn't truly know that because he was so young. So yeah, major concerns on this, and they seem to be echoed by the comments here. So let's go to David Brett Smith, who's been waiting so long for this to be read out. I apologise, mate. I would take the 40 million for Fab, but Paul, would you then get someone better than Lavia with the money on top? And if so, who? Yes, this is kind of what I'm leaning towards. If we sell Fabinho, the answer cannot just be Lavia. For me, that needs to be a springboard to go and get better. Now, I do wonder whether, Liverpool have been valuing Lavia around 30-ish million. Looks like there's a 50 million price tag. I don't think you getting that money for Fabinho means that gives you the money to go and push on, because 50 million is too much. You need to maintain standards. Go and get someone who's a bit more proven. And, we've seen talk, and it's only talk at the moment, that someone like Aurelien Tchouameni is surplus to requirements at Real Madrid. If Liverpool aren't so pissed off that he chose not to sign for them last summer and can rekindle that would feel more natural. I think you're going to get him for cheaper than Real Madrid paid for him, so you might be able to get a little bit of a bargain. You might get him for less than you were going to pay yourselves last year, and he's a bit more of a bit of a higher level player. I think he fits the model of what we're looking for in terms of the physicality as well. Someone like that. And the other one I've seen this floated all over Twitter is Moises Caicedo. Looks like he's going to move this summer. No one's been prepared to kind of push the bullet on, pull the trigger, shoot the bullet, whatever, on Moises Caicedo just yet. But that might be the thing that gets that over the line. Potentially, I'm not 100% convinced on him either, if I'm being perfectly honest. Right, so let me move on to the next one. Here we go. So we got this from Robbie Brown. I can't say I'm comfortable with two players who've given so much leaving in a summer. Progress above sentiment, I guess. Yeah, and look, there's a fine balance. Liverpool need to make sure that they are progressing. You can't hold on to players for too long. It's an old sentiment, but let players lose their legs on someone else's wages. That's totally right. But the problem is that having let so many senior footballers go, you can't afford to lose too many big characters and old school, hard working characters from your changing room go, because there's a reason why Madrid have spent so much money on refreshing their midfield and yet are still keeping Kroos and Modric around, because look, they're phenomenal and they're still capable of performing at the highest level on the pitch. There's that, but it shouldn't be underestimated, all the things that you don't see, the levels that those professionals and those guys set off the pitch transmits to the rest of the squad. And I know we don't see that, and maybe some of us don't value that highly, but you need to have that, because when you're in the shit, it's you go-to guys. It's the ones who've been there and done it. They're the ones who just go, it's okay, it's fine, I know what we're doing here, give the ball to me and I'll sort it out. Or when there's a drop in the dressing room and you can't quite get to the root cause of it, the guys who've got no ego anymore, the guys who are comfortable in their own skin and their own careers. And that's something that comes as you get towards your 30s and beyond. You do just become a bit more chill about life and everything. There's a lot more chips on your shoulder in your early 20s. It's just how it certainly was for me anyway. So yeah, I agree with the comments that we do need to be careful. Right, we've got another new member. Shane Almond has joined. Thank you so much, Shane. Let me just get you on there, my friend. Shane Almond. Lovely stuff. There we go. Thank you so much. We've got a duo on the YouTube members board. Our no expense spared YouTube members board. Well done. By the way, tier 2 and tier 3 subs get Neil Jones' Journo Insights show as your bonus show every Monday at the moment. Right. Luke McDermott says, is it likely that we're caught off guard here? That's a big question, and I don't know the answer. My general feeling is, yeah, a little bit. And how Liverpool conduct themselves next, because what I would be doing is I'd be saying, okay, Jordan, okay, Fab, we'll sit down with you at the end of the day. And then I would be locking myself in a room with the Rolodex of every, CEO / managing director / football director of all the top clubs in Europe and going, how much do you want for him? How much do you want for him? How much do you want for him? And seeing what your options are. Because every negative presents an opportunity to build something positive out of the back of it. And so as much as this might undercut what Liverpool are doing, if they're smart, they'll be able to use this to turn it to their advantage. And as mentioned, that is, don't just go and get prospects, go and get someone who's a little bit more ready-made. And I do feel, I had this conversation last week, I think the Szoboszlai thing becoming possible changed what the transfer strategy was. I think Liverpool were going to get a slightly more senior player to cover. I mean, I say more senior, more like 21, 22, a little bit older, a little bit with a few more senior games under their belt. But the second you spend that money on up front, particularly on Szoboszlai, I think that changes the tact of what your next midfielder's got to be. This money could potentially mean that you actually go and get another top target. You go and get another McAllister, another Szoboszlai for the DM position. You're only caught off guard if you don't react to the situation. But I do think that is very possible. Right, Matty Gorman with the obvious answer to all of these things, because this is, if you could pick predictable responses to anyone trying to have any moral standpoint on anything ever, is to try and point out that there are immoral situations in other walks of life too. So thanks for this, Matty. Everyone seems okay with Nike, one of the most morally reprehensible companies on the planet, and Standard Chartered found guilty and fined of over $1 billion for laundering some of the worst dictators' cash. Selective outrage. I'll be honest, mate, I don't think what you're saying on those is very well researched. I'm not going to sit here and defend mega organisations. I'm not. I'm just not. But ultimately, the point is, I think everyone's got their own set of morals. So there's something, Matty, that might trigger your own personal morals, other people might laugh in your face at, and vice versa. So what I would say is there's always something to get around. Everyone's got their own personal crusades. That you will all have the things that get our peckles up, that get our backs up, that make us want to go on marches, that makes us want to pick up placards, that makes us want to storm, government buildings. Everyone's got those levels. No one can ever answer all of those criticisms and questions at any one given time. What I would say on the Nike stuff, to my opinion, I think there's definitely circumstances in the past where those companies have had bad things, but I think it's like if someone did something in the past and then fixed it, and then they're forever tarred with the brush of having done it in the past. I don't know. Look, again, I'm not an expert on the on the business that every company on the planet conducts, but I'm pretty certain that's like an outdated thing. But whatever, man. Right. But yes, again, these are the issues that we have. When we start to tread into moral issues in sport, that's where things get really complicated. And that's the complicated issue which Jordan Henderson faces, that Fabinho won't in the same way, because Fabinho has not been an advocate for gay rights. He hasn't, you know what I mean? Fabinho hasn't stood up as publicly for those things. And that's the thing, every one of us has probably been in those situations where we've taken a stance on something in the past. Maybe you've said, I'll never drink in that pub because I don't like the person who owns it. But then what happens when all of your mates go, I'm just going to go and drink in that pub? You've then got to make the decision of whether you stand outside or you go somewhere else while all of your mates go in there. And, that's a very small example of it. But these are the points when you take a moral stance. Eventually, those morals will be called into question. You will face a decision point in your life where you have to stand by your morals, or you decide what price your morals come at, whether there's new information that causes you to change your opinions on stuff, which is absolutely perfectly fine. I think that's the part of human growth. Dear God, I'm doing this on a Liverpool YouTube channel, but here we are. And obviously, again, there's points to be made that, money talks. We live in a capitalist world, and eventually, someone just goes, well, it's a game and we've only got X amount of days, minutes. There's only so many heartbeats we've all got on this planet. Is it better to be richer when you're having those heartbeats? Because when the day comes that it's all done, will you have any regret of the things that you weren't able to accomplish? I'm not sure someone who's already a millionaire has quite the same, notion of how much game changer this money can be, but just for talking's sake anyway. Lad and Dad Detectorist to send this super chat in says Henson should be first name on the team sheet, being the captain. Last 2 seasons too injury prone. If he goes, who will be the new captain? Virgil. Yeah, Virgil is the vice captain at the moment, so you imagine that would be a step up. I don't want Virgil van Dijk to be Liverpool's captain. I don't think he's a great captain. I think he's a great player, but I don't think he's a great captain. Not for what Liverpool need, and certainly I think Jordan Henderson has set the model for what a captain should be. And it's similar to captains when Liverpool had brilliant teams. Liverpool didn't always have their best player as captain. We grew up, my generation grew up with Steven Gerrard as captain. He was the best player. It was almost like a bargaining chip to help keep him there, to blackmail him into staying at the club. I think there were better captains at times in that Liverpool side than Steven Gerrard, but he was a great leader on the pitch in terms of how he performed. I think Virgil's got that too. But I want footballers who've got no ego and don't get a huff on with players when they're not as good as them, which was Gerrard's problem, and it's Van Dijk's problem too. The captain's role is about performing technical processes. It's about knitting the team together, gluing it, again, shouting at people when they need shouting at, supporting when they need supporting. And in that regard, Henderson's been a stellar captain on the pitch for the club. But I agree, he is reaching a point where when the club captain can't get on the pitch, I don't know. People watching, is it important for you that the main first choice captain is on the pitch? It feels like it should, because the armband seems seen as being important, the point of pride. I don't know if I have a strong opinion on it, but it's an interesting debate. Nevertheless, we got one here just shouting, Caicedo. Go ahead. Right, we've had another member as well. Thomas, is it Smith or Smythe? I'm guessing it needs an E to be Smythe, doesn't it? So I'll say Thomas Smith. Thomas, you wonderful person. Thomas Smith. Go. Ed, there we go. Thomas Smith, hat-trick of new YouTube members here. Thank you so much for joining us. Steve Ryder, who's one of our legends over on Redmen Plus, getting into the comments here, says Fab's legs have gone. Age is a twat and catches everyone. You never go back up. It's a downward slope and it's just reality. Let's sell him. Otherwise, I guarantee we'll be wishing we had by Christmas. That's a really, really good, really, really good one. Because, yeah, I in any normal summer, and again, the Henderson stuff complicates this for me, because I'm a little worried about losing James Milner and Jordan Henderson in one summer because of just what they bring off the pitch as much as anything else. But I do agree that you want play. I don't feel the sentimentality towards Fabinho. I'm happy for Liverpool to sell Fabinho. I think 40 million is too low. I think he's worth 40 million pounds in the normal European football market. I think if Saudi are looking for him, I'd want a silly bid. I want at least what Man United played for Casemiro, because I think that was above market value, because United are stupid. Man United are a mess of a football club. With more money than sense. Not this season. No money. Still no sense. I would be wanting that to consider Fabinho, if I'm being honest, because of how it upsets your plans. But if you got 60 million for Fabinho, I would be biting your hand off, because that's what you need. We need to get back to selling lads. And I think, as mentioned, last season was a huge red flag that you're not going to get better. I think if you have to keep Fabinho this season and you can partner him with someone learning the role, then like Lavia, I think that's a fine solution for the next year. But given Liverpool's financial, restrictions, they're not a mega rich oil oligarch, whatever club. That feels like a really sensible way to do things. But if you're going to let Fabinho go, I want to be able to buy a brilliant first team replacement for him, and then still maybe consider Lavia on top if you want to go for volume as well. We had another super chat, but we've had another member as well. Wow, Abdullah, thank you so much. Let me just write this out. Abdullah Mohammed. Oh, I've spelled that perfectly. There we go. Abdullah Mohammed joins the board. Thank you so much. And we've got a member chat from Cole Bishop, who's been a member for 30 months. Thanks for everything you and the lads do, Paul YNWA. Thank you so much, Cole Bishop. You absolute star. Right. Sean P. Casey with the super chat says, this transfer news is about time for me. Sick of our fan base being sentimental FC. It's time for the next generation. Yeah, I agree with the sentiment stuff. I think Liverpool need to not get lost in things too much. I think being sentimental, and I think the problem is when people start using terms like sentimental FC, it's carried with a bit of venom. It's like sticking a little knife in and smiling at someone at the same time, which I think is a little gratuitous. Liverpool built their success by holding on to footballers who other football clubs would have been binned off and getting more out of them. As a result, that was how Klopp built his success. It wasn't just buy, and churn. It's coaching. It's at Man City and other football clubs, and even Liverpool in the past go, well, you've been crap this year, I'll get rid of you. And Liverpool have gotten that wrong. I mean, look at the careers that like Iago Aspas and Luis Alberto have had as examples of this, and the flip is true too, of course, but just for speaking's sake, they were clearly good enough to play at the top level, but Liverpool lost the bottle on them and went, fuck you, get out. Brendan Rodgers wasn't a good enough coach to turn those guys' careers around, and he paid the price for it ultimately. Jurgen Klopp's not like that. He can get more out of any footballer. So sentimentality is seen as a negative thing, and it's not. But over sentimentality is. That's when you're holding on to guys who don't make football or financial sense anymore. And I think you need to hold on to one or two because you need to maintain continuity, and you need structure and you need discipline in your dressing room and on your training ground amongst the players. That's the kind of discipline the coaches can't put in because you're a step removed. Being a player, you need to have that come from within the players group. All the great football teams have got that within the players group. So you don't want to lose that unless somebody else or someone else plus are ready to step up. But yeah, from a business perspective, players heading towards 30 or over their 30s, in the 30s, earning wages of the top talent of the football club, but who can't put out top level performances to that regular level anymore, you need to think about moving those on. And I agree. I totally agree with Sean on that point. Right, sounds. Let me just double check that I've not missed anything. Aaron, I've not got WhatsApp open, so if anything breaks, would you let me know, mate? Okay, mate, cool. I'll get to that now. I think I've got it here, mate. Dom King said, an important point to make about Jordan Henderson. No fee has been set by Liverpool. No fee would ever be divulged publicly by Liverpool before any talk started. And you can be absolutely sure 10 million won't be a realistic figure for Liverpool, who don't sell players at cut price. Yes. Okay, that's sound. I feel a little bit better about that straight away. If Liverpool, I mean, it's one of the things. Liverpool have been incredibly shrewd operators in the transfer market for years. They've been hailed, and not just by me and all the other FSG apologists, by analysts in such things, people that get paid and know things. They've been hailed as best in class. So if Liverpool, I don't think are in a position to be bullied. I mean, look. Liverpool got a record fee for Felipe Coutinho because Jurgen Klopp wanted rid of Coutinho when it came clear that he didn't want to play for Liverpool anymore and Barcelona were coming in. And Klopp said, get rid of him. And it was Liverpool's owners who said, not a chance, because if we show that we can be bullied by Barcelona, all the work that they'd done in getting themselves up the transfer food chain was going to be undone in one transfer. So they dug their heels in, dug in deep, and got £140 million for Felipe Coutinho in the middle of a season. And then that financed all the success that Liverpool had moving on. And it came down to that decision because they refused to be bullied in the transfer market. That's going to be a big call on this. And if Don King's right and that undermines what Romano was saying about the 10 million thing, I feel a little bit more encouraged by that. Liverpool should be saying, well, yeah, if you're a football club that can afford £700,000 a week in wages, then fuck you. You can pay us the transfer fees that we want for our footballers before we even enter into talks with you. Broomy with the super chat says, you mentioned you weren't keen on Van Dijk being captain. If Hendo leaves, who would you want as captain? I honestly don't know. I'm a little unsure about this. My feeling is if he continues to play like he did in the back end of the season, I think Trent. I think Trent is the heir apparent to the captain's armband for Liverpool. And look at the performance he was putting in for England at the end of the season. If he plays like that, if he's unleashed in the midfield role, then I think Trent is a future captain of Liverpool. I need to see how he's used, because if he's stuck at right back, and he's playing predominantly as an orthodox right back, I don't want that. I don't think he's as good as that as he is playing this inverted role or playing in midfield. So yeah, that would be my. I know Robertson's captain for Scotland, but he's another one. I don't think he's going to be. I think he's probably going to be phased out by this time next year. So who's going to be the next long-term captain of Liverpool? Maybe this is it's up for grabs. Van Dijk is fine as vice. Sure, keep him as captain. That's fine by me. But yeah, beyond that, yeah, there you go. Who do you think should be Liverpool captain? Everyone, let us know in the comments. AJ, big up all. Just joined. So not sure if you've spoken about this. Can't go into the season with the average age of our midfield being 21. Yeah, definitely that. And that's the thing. You've got to be smart. Liverpool should keep the players they want to keep and sell the players they want to sell. Does that make sense? I think that sounds like I've just said it out loud, and it sounds so painfully simple, but I think that's right. If Jurgen Klopp needs a balance in his squad. Last year the balance was fucked. We had too many lads at the back end of the career and too many lads right at the start and not enough in the middle. We're buying lads in the middle, and some of the young lads that we had are starting to cross into that. Curtis Jones being the best example of it. Sound. But yes, you need senior lads in your team. If you want to compete on all fronts, and being in the Europa League means Liverpool should be able to do that, you open up the chance of you getting your ass kicked in competitions that you think you should be good enough to win on paper, because you're going up against a bunch of fellas, might be from a lower division or a lower level league, but you need seniority in that squad. You need lads who've been there and done it to help carry the young players through. It's mad that we'd be in a world where we could lose Fabinho and Henderson and Milner, and Thiago would still be there. Now, honestly, I'd keep all three for one more season if it was up to me. But again, it's not up to me, is it? It's up to what Jurgen Klopp wants to do. But if we're going to do the business, then Liverpool should not be getting bullied in this transfer market. And it's a big test for Jurgen Schmadtke now. This is a guy who's basically playing for his job. Does he want to be the long-term guy in that role? Does he care enough? Is he only doing it for the summer and beyond? We can't afford this summer to basically leave Liverpool in a hole that's going to, swallow them in the years that follow. This is the summer to do the big rebuild. And then hopefully that means that next summer you get to add one or two absolute stars, and that elevates you, and all of a sudden you're back on a level pegging with Man City again. Maybe selling Fabinho for the right price and Henderson for the right price might allow us to go and jump a season ahead in the transfer market. If you can get £100 million, let's just say, because we're talking stupid money, if Liverpool got £100 million for those two players, which is not what I don't think either of them are worth in the normal market, but shit, it's Saudi. Why not try and get that money? You could go and buy, with what you've got left as well, I think you could go and buy the defender that you need, the left-footed centre-half that you need, and a first-team ready DM, and maybe not this season, because you've then got the issues with bedding in and getting them all up to speed and understanding what you're doing, but maybe in a much more competitive side as a result. Ali for captain as well was a shout there I just missed on the way out, sorry. Never make your goalkeeper the captain, sorry. And I'm a goalkeeper, by the way, and I would have happily taken the captain's armband for all the teams that I played for. There were times when I was the best player in the teams that I played for as well. But goalkeepers are too far away from everything to be the captain. They don't like it. Jack Howe, missed top four, first time in 8 years. Changes needed, yeah, absolutely. And changes are afoot, aren't they? And that's the thing. And I think changes are going to happen regardless of what happens with these transfers. But Liverpool need to get this summer very, very right. And this has presented a brand new challenge for Klopp and for Liverpool's recruitment team to kind of get their heads around. So it will be. It's the most, Neil Jones, if you haven't checked out Neil Jones' Substack, by the way, I would highly recommend it. But he's been having this conversation. I've been saying this on my personal YouTube channel as well. This is my 14th year of covering Liverpool professionally. And I have never been more fascinated by what they're doing than this summer. And I know people always get wound up by the transfer market. I think irrationally so. I think I'm a bit more laissez-faire about it. I'm just interested to see what they do, because I can't influence it. Can't influence what decisions. I'm not going to tell Jurgen Klopp what he should and shouldn't be doing, more often because I tend to agree with what he does. But I don't know what system we're going to play. I don't know what the next move is. I'm trying to fathom it out. I'm enjoying the thought, the sort of thought process in the game being played around that. But yeah, I think it's really, really interesting. Really, really interesting. Let me know a couple of things then in the comments. Who do you think, if Jordan Henderson leaves, who do you think should be Liverpool's next captain? Are you happy with it being Van Dijk, or would you want someone else to step up above him? I mean, we did see Sammy Hyypiä as captain, and then when Gerrard came of age, he took the armband off Sammy while he was still at the club. Yeah, and what fee do you think is acceptable that Liverpool should accept for you, for Henderson and Fabinho? Let me know those in the comments if you don't mind. Right, I am. People mention it actually. Joseph Gages saying everyone missed the biggest Liverpool transfer news of the day. Saf Vandenberg's in Frankfurt discussing a loan move. Yeah, he's discussing a move to Mainz apparently. I think Frankfurt is just the airport he flew into. I'm going to discuss that. I'm also going to discuss what else was on the agenda that I had to bin off. Liverpool's interest in Mickey van der Ven and the Sepp Vandenberg stuff, and anything else breaks in the next couple of minutes on the Redmen Bite Size podcast, which is just a really more condensed, less opinionated version of this show, just done specifically for podcast users on all good podcasting apps. I do want to draw everyone's attention before I go. If you want to keep your comments coming in, if any more super chats or whatever, I'll read them before I go. But just to do a little bit of housekeeping while I'm here. Thanks to everyone who's watched, by the way. Do drop a like on this video if you've enjoyed it. Yes, so our brand new book is available to pre-order right now. Speaking of someone who took the Saudi money, Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, our brand new book is available to pre-order right now on redmenmerch.com. Anyone who's seen our previous efforts, this is the fourth book that I've published now, fourth Liverpool book. It follows on from It's Your Year and Champions of Everything, which were focused on how the internet reacted to Liverpool's European Cup winning and then league winning season. And then we did Hendo 10 Years of Red, which is still available at a discount. There's the last few copies available on there as well. And now Bobby Firmino, celebrating the life and times of Roberto Firmino's Liverpool career. If you're a Bobby superfan or you know someone who is, perfect gift for them. It's got amazing artwork. It's got brilliant stories. It's got stats. It's got graphics. It's just, it's the best thing we've produced in terms of books. It looks absolutely stunning. Great insight, and it's got some wonderful contributions. And I've done it inspired a little bit by the old school poster magazines that you used to get as a kid or whatever. So we've got these amazing Bobby Firmino photos, A4, perfectly. You know, if you want to get two and then cut one up and stick a load of posters all over your bedroom wall of Bobby, you can do that as well. But yeah, head to redmenmerch.com. You can scan the QR code that was on the screen just a moment ago. There is an author signed edition as well if you want to get a signed copy, but these are very, very limited run. We've done one. It's a one and done run on this. So when they're gone, they're gone. So grab Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, the brand new book on pre-order on redmenmerch.com right now. Seeing some shouts actually on the captain stuff. Project 5 AM saying Trent captain. Which is good from Project 5 AM. Well done. Dan there says just says Trent. Ollie Red 99 says happy with Van Dijk. And just Steve Ryder, I think, just carrying on his point from earlier. See, it's not just on the pitch. There are plenty of voices on there. It's behind the scenes and the person. That's what our captain should be, and Alisson is the man. Right. Aaron, is that on Twitter? Okay, so apparently Paul Joyce is saying we want 20 million for Jordan Henderson. There you go. Is 20 million? Is 20 million more like the kind of cheddar cheese that you'd be happy to spread on your toast for Jordan Henderson? And if so, does that change your opinion on what the Fabinho price should be? Okay, cool. Thanks, everyone. Drop a huge like on this. Do subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. We've got this covered from every possible angle on redmenplus.com as well. Neil Jones was in doing Journo Insight today. Head over there. He does it twice a week. We also did a special with the Echo's Paul Gorst as well, which is also out. And there's going to be loads more in between all of that. Rest assured, we've got every aspect of Liverpool's transfer market business covered on redmenplus.com this summer. And if you head to redmenplus.com and use the code Bobby, you're going to get a yearly subscription for 50% off. Yes, go to redmenplus.com, click join today, choose a yearly captain subscription, and use the code Bobby, BOBBY, and get 50% off. So you're going to get all of this summer, all of next season while Liverpool are, playing a 19-year-old gang of lads in midfield, winning everything. And yeah, we'll be back here stressing about transfers in a year's time as well. We've had another super chat. Where is it, mate? Thanks, Aaron. Oh, got it. Shane Ormond with our final super chat says Trent is the next captain for me. Yeah, I agree with that, mate. Yeah, great stuff. Right, 50 minutes. Wow. Okay, cool. Thank you so much for joining me. You guys are absolutely amazing. Trying to keep your heads on. It's only football at the end of the day. I'm sure Jurgen Klopp and co will have whatever they're doing well within their sphere of influence. And the Reds, when they start playing football again, it's going to be boss and exciting to see some new lads doing some new things. Anyway, keep your thoughts on everything we discussed coming in the live show chat. And I'll see you all very, very soon. Ta-ra. So pre-season is just around the corner for the mighty Reds, but if you want to spend your days, weeks and hours celebrating a Liverpool legend, then check out Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, our 3-part documentary series, episodes 2 and 3 exclusively streaming on redmenplus.com right now with full interviews from so many of our amazing contributors, including the Liverpool skipper, Jordan Henderson, the greatest goal scorer the club's ever seen, Ian Rush, and a hell of a lot more. Right now, go to redmenplus.com. All episodes of Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, streaming today.